Who would rob God? Well, these two would. It's that time of year again, folks. Whether you're sitting on the couch all day, in church, or hunting for Easter eggs, everyone deserves a good laugh, and I promise you're gonna get one today. These are the funniest Black Hollywood films and the funniest scenes from each of them. Don't try not to laugh. You will definitely fail at that. On a good day, I would feel sorry for these two. Darrell wants to help his kid and Lee John wants to be, well, Lee John. They get themselves into some trouble and need to find a way to pay back the money they owe as soon as possible. The only solution? To rob a church. So, they check out the place and witness a Sunday service where the congregants pledge with fresh $100 bills. Darrell figures if they do that every Sunday, they collect $400 from each member a month. That's all the money they need to pay off their debts. So they break into the church on what seems to be the perfect day. One problem, though, life doesn't make the robbing part easy because someone's already taken the money. So they all sit cooped up in a church as the mystery of who robbed God before they did ensues. With all of the hijinks that come with that, in one of the funniest scenes in the movie, Ricky, played by Cat Williams, is held at gunpoint and forced to lie to the police who, despite all of his desperate attempts, do not understand any of the signals he's trying to give and just leave the church full of hostages thinking they just met the weirdest choir director ever. Darren revives the church choir of his hometown to win prize money and his inheritance. He sets up auditions and puts together a team, promising them all the opportunities that come with winning such a big competition. However, this proves to be a journey with plenty of ups and downs, from trouble with the choir to needing to recruit convicts to complete the choir's sound. Darren is willing to do anything to succeed. This film has some of the most beautiful tracks of 2000's African-American gospel, graced by the voice of Beyoncé in her early acting career and Protestant African-American church classics. At a point in the film, everyone is brought to tears by the singing during the service, and it truly is that beautiful. It also has a cameo from Steve Harvey's earlier acting career, fighting the temptation to click that subscribe button and notification bell. Unless you plan on joining the choir, I don't think you'll win. You know you want more fantastic Black Hollywood content like this, so don't resist. Go ahead and click it. In one of the funniest scenes, the band members are discussing what they will get once they succeed, and Lily says that she couldn't possibly go on a tour because she doesn't want to leave her grandfather by himself. A random character turns their back to butt into the conversation by saying, "Well, thankfully all of my family is dead," implying that she's glad she has no reason to be stopped from going on tour. After losing her job, Brenda receives news that her estranged father has passed away and that he will be having a funeral. With nothing left to her name, she packs her things and heads over to meet the family she always had, but never knew. Her father had an affair with her mother, and she never got the chance to meet him. But, at the least, she got to meet her family. Once Brenda has made it to the family home and has her seat at the dinner table, Vera decides to bring up the elephant in the room. She's in their house at their dinner table eating their food, and none of them have any idea who she is. And how could she prove it? When Rainella's husband passes away, she calls on her entire family to attend the funeral and console her during her time of grief. But with all the family members with their own over-the-top and dramatic personalities under one roof, the conflict and drama become absolutely unbearable. If not for any other reason, any film with Whoopi Goldberg in it is most definitely worth seeing. She plays the only level-headed character in the entire family, which I imagine is true of Whoopi in real life too. In the funniest scene in the film, the Reverend tries to give a speech at the funeral of a man he barely knew while trying to make it seem inspirational. While struggling with this already, his stomach issues decide to make matters worse and embarrass him in front of the entire congregation. If you like Madea movies, this is a classic you need to see again. It has all the familiar faces: Loretta Devine, Cassie Davis, and David Mann. The family has to come together because the matriarch of the house, Shirley, has been diagnosed with cancer. She wants to have a meal with her entire family and tell them all at the same time. However, the constant bickering and fighting and unresolved conflict of the past stand in the way of her finding the appropriate moment to tell them all. Everyone has their own problems, and they're losing sight of what's right in front of them. In the funniest scene, Leroy Brown, who is basically the punching bag of the family, lets everyone know that he's having a bit of a health scare and needs to go to the doctor. However, he doesn't receive the loving response that he anticipates after giving this news. This one's a tearjerker, so don't expect to laugh very much. Bring a box of tissues. The Family That Prays is the journey of two best friends whose lives begin to fall apart at about the same time. Charlotte and Alice decide to go on a road trip to figure things out. They take spontaneous adventures and have deep conversations before returning home to resolve the main conflicts of both of their stories. It has that classic 2000s melodrama and nostalgia tone, and the story will definitely break your heart before putting it all back together near the end. Near the upturn of the film, we see Charlotte get back her confidence when she confronts William about his mischievous plans to end her career. Grace Peoples is born into a well-off family with certain tastes, styles, and politics. She falls in love with Wade, a quirky child psychologist, but she can't tell her family about who he really is because she doesn't believe that they will accept him. He isn't the man they wished she would fall in love with. Wade decides to crash their annual family get-together and finally introduce himself. However, he finds that not only does her family have no idea who he is, they have a set of their own problems and family secrets behind closed doors. All Wade wants is to be accepted by them. Wade will do anything to impress the family. In a scene later in the film, he tries to impress Grace's father by withstanding the most insanely hot sauna in the world. Slowly, he loses his mind, imagining himself as very cold drinks so that he can withstand the mental challenge of the heat. Nate Johnson gets the great idea to take his family on a road trip vacation to the family reunion they have to attend in Missouri. Along the way, they get up to no good and almost don't make it, which isn't to say that things get any better once they're there. His son gets all sorts of odd modifications done to the car, a pet crocodile is released into their motel room, and their car is completely covered in cement. This is a classic comedy of the early 2000s, with too much going on and a lot of fun to be had. The funniest scene in the movie is when they finally get to the reunion, and it's time to eat. But with Mac's prayer, it may take a while before they even get the chance. This film is highly underrated. Samuel L. Jackson and Bernie Mac star in it. They play Floyd and Lewis. They used to be in a band together as backups for a musician named Marcus Hooks. However, Marcus passes away suddenly, and a memorial service is going to be held for him at the Apollo Theater. They're both invited to the memorial, and they have to go together. The problem is, they hate each other. They somehow manage to get each other to go on a cross-country trip to the memorial of their friend. However, their relationship has not healed yet, and it makes the road to Apollo even bumpier. They hate each other so much that when Floyd sneaks into Lewis's house after many unanswered calls, the first thing Lewis does is punch him in the face. When Floyd wakes up from passing out, he asks what happened, and Floyd says he has no idea. If you want to watch a quaint and beloved African-American comedy film, The Barber Shop is a guaranteed win no matter your genre tastes. Calvin Palmer inherited a barber shop from his father, but it has been a struggle to keep it open despite all of his efforts. One night, he decides to sell the shop to a loan shark behind the backs of all of his employees. However, after spending another day with his employees and customers, he realizes the importance of the shop. It creates a space for people to discuss their opinions openly and creates a sense of community. He didn't want to make them all lose that for the money. He begins to sorely regret his decision. He tries to get it back, but that doesn't prove to be so easy. The sleazy loan shark wants to sell the shop for double the price Calvin sold it for. Even worse, He wants all the money before 7 p.m. that day, or he's keeping it forever. From that point on, everything around him seems to fall apart. The funniest scene in the entire film is the Barber Shop banter, where Eddie discusses his beliefs on Rosa Parks, Rodney King, OJ, and apparently Jesse Jackson too. Click on this next video for more Black Hollywood content you'll love. Have you seen these movies? What was the funniest clip? Comment down below.